a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today.
I predominantly worked with adolescents and college-age students, and I did not have one client that was experiencing confusion over their sex. When I was trained in my graduate program, we were not even using the terms non-binary, gender fluid. It was non-existent.
My name is Chloe Cole, and I am a detransitioner. Another way to put that would be, I used to believe that I was born in the wrong body, and the adults in my life whom I trusted affirmed my belief, and this caused me lifelong, irreversible harm.
A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children.
You have the biggest children's hospital in the world that is manipulating, mutilating, and sterilizing young children.
Then I asked them if they were teaching gender theory, and they told me that they don't call children boys and girls, and they embed the values of gender identity into every classroom, including kindergarten, and they didn't want to answer any of my questions further.
So parents who love their children more than anyone else, who are ultimately responsible for every part of their care, are being painted as enemies to their own children with no due process.
Of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable.
Our daughter, like so many of these other girls, was very vulnerable to this ideology for many reasons. My daughter, because she has ADHD, was emotionally 11 at that time. So as you see from this intake form, the process was you go to the school counselor, you say, I'm trans, and within 48 hours, they are required to set up a meeting. And I have circled the part where it says parent or guardian. Are they aware and are they supportive? So this was the only question where they asked her, and that ultimately decided whether or not my husband and I would be notified or asked to come to the meeting.
I came out as transgender in a letter I sent on the dining room table. My parents were immediately concerned. They felt like they needed to get outside help from medical professionals, but this proved to be a mistake. It immediately set our entire family down a path of ideologically motivated deceit and coercion. The gender specialist I was taken to see told my parents that I needed to be put on puberty-blocking drugs right away. They asked my parents a simple question: would you rather have a dead daughter or a living transgender son?
And all of the resources pointed to only affirming these identities. I could not find an alternate treatment option, which struck me as very odd because part of my job as a therapist is to do differential diagnosis.
So over the next couple of months, it just gets worse and worse, more and more frequent, where it's becoming more frequent, but also the stories are getting crazier, where you have these kids with tons of psychiatric issues. All those are being ignored, and they're just getting these drugs, whether blockers, hormones, to affirm their gender. At
the age of 12, I began to experience what my medical team would later diagnose as gender dysphoria. I was well into an early puberty, and I was very uncomfortable with the changes that were happening to my body. I was intimidated by male attention, and when I told my parents that I felt like a boy, in retrospect, all I meant was that I hated puberty, that I wanted this newfound sexual attention to go away.
As much of the coping mechanisms my daughter was using mimicked anorexic girls and what they would do. And so just like anorexia and eating disorders, how that is the tip of the iceberg, and everything under the surface is really what leads to that diagnosis and that behavior, I really saw gender dysphoria is no different. So I was really confused as to why I was not finding an array of treatment options.
So I started to look for gender affirming curriculum, and I got inclusive curriculum. I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to share that it had this strange thing when you first opened it, that it gave you a quick exit to the site, as if you aren't supposed to be looking at it and you might have to quickly close it, which is very, very strange. Why is there so much secrecy? Why isn't there sunshine, as they refer to it, with regards to transparency, shining the light on what's happening?
So these guides never saw the light of day. So many parents were completely in the dark and unaware that this had been used to train every staff member in Leon County schools, but they never knew.
My name is Nicole Solis, and I am a mother from Rhode Island who was sued by the teachers union simply because I wanted to know what my kindergartner would be learning in school.
The Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, had issued an opinion saying that these interventions could be investigated as child abuse, which they are.
My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding.